Hello everyone and welcome back to another NumPy video. The purpose of this video is one, to introduce the NumPy logical functions any and all, but also to do a little bit of a review of some of the concepts that we've been talking about so far. So I've already imported NumPy and I have my random number generator ready to go. So the first thing we're going to do is let's create a 100 row, 4 column NumPy array of random real numbers between 0 and 1. So the past couple of videos we've been doing a lot with random integers, but remember, for real numbers what I can do is I can say rng.random, and what that does is give me random numbers between 0 and 1. So for instance, if I run it, I get this 0.85, and then what I can do is I can specify the size. So I can say size equals 100 rows, 4 columns, and I'm going to call this ARR. And if we'd like, we can take a look at, let's say, the first 5 rows of ARR. So we can see here, yep, we have 5 rows and each one has 4 columns. So now let's take a look at the next question. We want to find the subarray containing all rows in which at least one number is bigger than 0.9. So here's kind of the first 5 rows. Let's also keep working with the first 5 rows. So if I do something like ARR, first 5 rows greater than 9, notice what this does is it checks every element and says, is this one greater than, oh, and I guess I should say 0.9, right? Certainly all of these will be smaller than 9, but this one's false, false, true, false, false. So notice here it's checking every element against this greater than 0.9. Versus we want to check, does the row contain at least one number which is bigger than 0.9. So the way we can do that is, again, I'll say ARR, first 5 rows greater than 0.9, so that part's staying the same. But now I'm going to use the word any. So this is saying, is anything larger than 0.9? And I'm going to specify which axis. So notice I want to go along this way horizontally, so this is going to be axis equals 1. And now let's take a look. So here, is there anything in the first row that's larger than 0.9? That's true. What about in the second row? Nope. Third row, true. Fourth row, it's also true. Fifth row, it's false. So one thing we could also do is we could take the sum. So let me see here. I could do, let's see, ARR 5 greater than 0.9, and again, dot any, oops, axis equals 1 dot sum. And what this does is it tells me there's 3 rows with at least one number bigger than 0.9. So notice here we have this Boolean array. It's telling me, or here as well, it's telling me which rows contain something that's bigger than 0.9. And if we remember, the question is asking for the subarray. So the way that we can do that is with indexing. So again, I'm going to say take ARR, first 5 rows, and now I'm going to say keep the rows that have at least one element that's larger than 0.9. Oops, and let's see what went wrong here. Oh, do you see what went wrong? I used these parentheses instead of the square brackets for indexing. So remember, we said first row keep, second row discard, third and fourth rows keep, fifth row discard. So this is the first row if we look at ARR, which is up here. Then we threw away the second row, but we should have the third and the fourth. So here's third row and fourth row, and those appear here in our subarray. So that was an example of using any. Let's see an example now with all. So now I want to find the subarray containing all rows in which no numbers are between 0.4 and 0.6. So let's kind of start with the same idea. I want to say, okay, ARR, I want this, oh, and before we do this even, so notice here, I had first 5 rows. I want to take the subarray of all of ARR. So the way I do that is I just remove the slicing. So I do ARR of, and I'm going to copy paste this code. Only thing I need to change is this slice here. And now this returns the subarray where every row has at least one element that's larger than 0.9. Very good. So back to this question. Find the subarray containing all rows in which no numbers are between 0.4 and 0.6. So how we could do that is, well, I want ARR. It needs to be less than 0.4, or it needs to be greater than 0.6. I'm not super concerned here about whether I should do less than or equal to, greater than or equal to. So because these are random real numbers on 0 to 1, the probability that it's 0.4 exactly or 0.6 exactly is 0, so don't need to worry about that. So I want everything to be less than 0.4 or greater than 0.6. And then what I want to do is, well, I want all of this to be true, and again, along axis equals 1. So here we have our Boolean array. And one question we can ask is, well, what's the length of this subarray? Or not subarray, this Boolean array. So let me copy paste this and check the length. And this is a good chance for you to make a prediction as well. So if I call dot shape on this, notice it's length 100, and that's because we have 100 rows in ARR. So for every row it's checking, are all of the elements kind of less than 0.4 or greater than 0.6. So now what we're going to do is let's create the subarray. So ARR, almost made the same mistake, I'll use square brackets. And now I want to take this. And we can see here, this is the subarray where every element is either smaller than 0.4 or greater than 0.6. So we can see here, that's greater than 0.6, smaller than 0.4, greater than 0.6, smaller than 0.4. And we could check for all of these. We could also check the shape of this, and let's see. And we can see here, there's 36 rows where this happened in the original array. I think this is a good place to stop the video. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.